Coach David, back again, and I'm going to talk about the thing that everybody loves to hate, cardio. This is a follow-up on my discussion of why you need to do cardio, why you have to do it. There's nothing to replace it. If you want to lose calories, if you want to lose weight, if you want to lose fat, you have to do it. You have to. There's no other way around it. Today I want to talk about your heart rate and why it's important to be measuring it while you're working out. I'm going to give you some tips and some things to keep in mind, and then the next video is going to be all about programming around that heart rate that we're going to kind of estimate your max today, right? So a lot of people overemphasize heart rate, like they program everything around that, which is, I'm not going to be too intense about it. But there's also people that say, oh, it doesn't matter, just go out and run, and if you're sweating, it's okay. But I would just argue that mentality is the same as just lift whatever weight you could find, do 10 reps, and you're good, you're gonna make progress. But when we're programming around weights, the best way to do it is to kind of know, like on bench, if my max is 300, I should be working at, with 200 pounds when I'm doing 10 reps, something like that. And if I'm only doing 100 pounds, I'm kind of cheating myself because I'm stronger than I realize, or stronger than I'm working out, right? So it's the same thing with cardio. And I would argue, think about the hardest part about working out is your mentals, your mentality. You end up defeating yourself. You think that you're working so hard. You perceive that if you're on the treadmill running at 6 miles an hour, that's the hardest thing in the world. But if I take an objective measure and I see that your heart rate is at 80, I'm like, hey, you just push. Your heart is telling me you're not working as hard as you need to be. Or maybe you think it's easy, which can happen, like you're a big macho person. Man, this is so easy. But you're going way above the heart rate that we need you to be at, and I need you to slow down a bit to get the results that we're specifically looking for. So I would just argue, if you're gonna have a program you're following, you need an objective measure, because if you're subjectively thinking this is too hard or too easy, we don't have any data to show that, and you don't know what you're doing, right? So when it comes to heart rate, we can use the Apple Watch, we can use the Fitbit. Fitbit's a little less accurate. My personal suggestion is you go out and buy the strap. I'll leave all these links in the description below, but the strap is the most accurate. It's a little uncomfortable, but just deal with it. And then when you're working out, it takes about every 3 minutes you hit steady state, but I'm not gonna get too complicated once again, but you will be able to see how hard you're working throughout the entire exercise. You could also use the handles, but once again, those aren't too accurate. But hey, if it's the best you got, use it. The next thing I want you to do is, if you are healthy or you have someone you're working with, see if you can do a 10-minute, 15-minute interval test where you're gonna run as hard as you can for a minute, take a minute off, walk it off, and do it again, alternate in that fashion, and see what the highest heart rate is measured, the highest observable heart rate in that workout. So for example, if I do that and I get 200, I'm gonna then take that number and add 5 beats per minute to it. So we're gonna get 205, because these are estimations. You're not necessarily getting to your heart rate max when you're going all out, but we just need some observable measure. And I think it's a little bit better than using the 220 minus your age, because this is more specific. So that 220 minus your age could be 10 beats higher or 10 beats lower on average. So this method gives us a more individualized approach to finding your max, even though it's still an estimation, right? So what we're gonna do with that number is, in the next video, I'm gonna go into the different zones that I suggest for your workouts, and you're gonna take a percentage of that number and use it and observe it as you're working out. So to wrap things up, we need something that tells us how hard you're working, or you're cheating yourself. Think about that. You should be either working harder, or you should tail it back a little bit to get better results, okay? Your heart cannot lie to us. As long as the measures are somewhat accurate, we have data to use to show us if we need to increase or decrease, and that is the best way to program is using data, right? I'm not gonna tell you to just go on the treadmill and run as hard as you can. We're not gonna make progress that way. So that's it. Like, comment, subscribe. The next video is gonna be all about how to program your workouts, and I hope to see you there. Bye.